Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network and another episode of Sibling Showdown, this time on Monday. But that doesn't matter. We do a Sibling Showdown, a live BBM5 draft every week. And in just 1 minute, that's what we're going to be doing. That's right. Every week I'm joined by my sibling, my brother, Steve, and we are going to do yet another Sibling Showdown BBM5 live draft. This is obviously holiday week. Happy early 4th of July week. So a little bit of quick scheduling notes. Today, Sibling Showdown. Tomorrow, the DraftKings live draft. Wednesday, Andrew and Justin are moving over to Wednesday. Thursday, touch some grass, see some fireworks for the holiday. And then Friday, I have Bindles on. So check out, he's got a lot of good things going on this week, including, I think, a draft with Neil tonight and Tom Strachan Wednesday I just saw. So, but Bindles will be on with me Friday at 2. So that's what we got going on here. And now let me check in with my brother, who's just ripping fast drafts left and right. How are the mini Schnauzer streets? I can't say that fast. Treating you, Steve.
Not bad. I've already maxed the 3 and the 4. Now working on the 5. And I like what they did here. I mean, the faster clocks are interesting. It is very difficult, especially if you are doing more than one at a time, like I was just doing to max out the 4. Or I think it was 4. It makes it hard, but they're fun, and it's a way for obviously people to get more action down with the faster clocks. To release 3 at a time like this was interesting. And the other thing is they'd also just announced their Gladiator program. Yeah. And with these mini schnauzers, each one are only 20 max, but you could do all 3, max out all 3, and then 60 for only $180. That's what it cost. And that's a great way if you're trying to get to the higher levels, the 500 drafts, the 1,000 drafts. You do all 60. That's 6% of 1,000 drafts. So that's just a way to look at it, and to help you get there, to help get that return return on your rake, the higher percentages.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a way to get that rake back. And also, I think it's just fun. They were good advance rates. And I think it's
great advance rates. Yeah.
It's fun to experiment with different things in those tournaments. And then obviously the faster clock, sometimes if you're quick, you can take advantage of others' mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes myself. But what was your favorite one, 10, 15, or 20?
So far, the 20. I mean, just having those extra 5 seconds does help. Just when you get sniped. I mean, it's the nature of the beast, and you had to pivot quickly. The 10 made it very.
The 10's fun because it goes fast, but mistakes are made. Definitely mistakes are made.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But sometimes it goes in your favor where mistakes are made by others, and then you get, But of course, I made plenty of mistakes too. But I'd probably say the 15 for me, just the happy
15. The 15's fine, but I mean 20. You're still saving some time off the regular clock, and like you said in this part of our strategy show last week, is it allows you to do different things. I'm definitely taking guys that I'm not as high on, like a Malik Neighbors, where they're at, Zay Flowers, guys like that. I 2 of the drafts that I just did right before we got on the show, I did Lamar and Zay Flowers.
And that's not something you typically do.
No, because I just think Zay is a little too high price. But here, hey, if he's the guy that pops, I'll take the shot here.
Yeah, I think I've been doing that, and we'll see. We talked about maybe experimenting with some of the strategies we tried in these quicker drafts in the BBM today, if it presents itself, because obviously you have to let the draft come to you. But I think it was kind of like we said in our strategy show, which, by the way, check it out. I believe it's episode 85 or 86, but check it out on the FanSpeak Network. It's our strategy session talking about these time box tournaments and different strategies that you can incorporate in these time box tournaments. One of them is getting exposure to guys you don't usually get exposure to. One is, so mixing up your player portfolio, as you mentioned, but also I talked about mixing up your strategy portfolio, doing different strategies that you don't typically do, and kind of get outside your comfort zone there. I did a bunch of hyper fragiles this weekend, and I kind of had fun with it. I did like kind of hit that quarterback sweet spot that I love. And then I did a late round tight end build where I just hammered tight ends the last few rounds, and I would do like a 3-4-8-3 And I actually liked some of them, so we'll see. We'll see, but that's, again, mix up your player portfolio here, mix up your strategy portfolio, have a little fun with it, and Riggs cannot get comfortable right now. I'm so sorry, he's so distracting, and now he's bothering me. Okay, go lay down. But and then again, check out that strategy show on Time Box Tournaments, because we cover other different strategies too, like drafting some potentially low drafted guys. I mean, these are ways to experiment with that.
That's definitely something that I was doing, using that 18th round to get
so
some of the guys we talked about.
18th round in this weekend.
Definitely some of the guys we talked about, like Josh Reynolds, Raymond, Zach Ertz. I did Hayden.
Did you do any of my Sam Darnold?
I didn't do any Sam Darnold, but
I kind of like it. I did. All right, we have Tyler saying hi. He was on Friends of Best Ball Friday. We did a fun happy hour. Neil and I did a draft, and Tyler and I did a draft. Super fun. Check that out. That is episode 87, I believe, and it was a lot of fun on Friday. Happy hour. Had a little whiskey or bourbon and relaxed and had fun with the guys. So it was great. King of Kings, this is our guy Frank. Hopefully he can join us in the draft. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And I'll pull over the draft now so we can get this thing started. Let me see here. Got to find the old BBM. Okay. So if you do want to join us, let me make sure my internet okay. I tried to set it to the Ether or the direct plugin because my internet's been weird. Okay. So, if you want to join us, we are joining in 3, 2, 1. And oh my God, look, I just tested it right before this. Okay, get out if you tried to join us. I mean, unbelievable. I literally, Steve did a test. I tested before. Okay, so no location issues. Let me try again. And if not, you'll have to riff for a minute while I figure this out. Okay, looks like we're in. Okay, we're waiting on 3. If anybody wants to join us, you can join us in this BBM 5 draft. And we will... so Steve and I were talking about maybe we can implement some of this, and I know some of those apply specifically to Time Box, but some of the different strategies if it presented itself to us. Because you and I both had fun with some different types of builds this weekend. So you had were there any builds that were different? Because I know we both are kind of 3 quarterbacks. If we go elite tight end, it's kind of more like a maybe a 3-6-7-2 or a 3-5-8-2. If we don't, it's like a 3-5-7-3. Did you have any builds that you were more comfortable with this, or that, like I said about the 3-4-8-3, that's totally outside your comfort zone, but liked it?
I definitely did a couple more.
You did some 0 RBs different too, right?
Yeah. Not what some people define 0 RB, but more waiting to the 5th round on a running back type thing.
Right.
Kind of stuff.
Okay, so we do have King of Kings. So Frank's at the 2 spot. Love it. I know Alex P. Keaton's been in here before with us, and No Fan. So love to see it. I'm trying to see if I see any other names I recognize. So I think King of Kings at 2, Alex P. Keaton at 8. I've definitely seen him before. We are at 9, and No Fan is at 10, or excuse me, 11. I'm going to try to toggle between. So talk about some of your favorite, any other movement you see, Steve. I'm trying to do something different with the draft board that I was experimenting with.
So I do think, especially with more drafts out there, obviously Underdog's seeing more data. The ADPs are having more, just way more people drafting now. I think it does. It's the ADPs are getting more efficient, just with more drafts out there, and especially more tournament drafts, because some of the drafts that they have been doing, like these Dalmatians and the bigger dollar ones, people should be drafting very differently in those types of tournaments.
Yeah.
And while the advance rates are much better for these $3 ones, you should roughly be drafting this and the puppy that they just had roughly the same as the BBM. I mean, some differences, of course, but you're probably drafting roughly the same. So it's interesting to have a lot more data now into these ADPs with so many drafts out there. It's not just the BBM streets. It's not just the people who are only drafting BBM. So, I think that helps make the ADPs more efficient.
Because you're saying having the ADPs more efficient by having other types of contests other than BBM, basically?
Well, just in general, if you're only having the people drafting it based on the single $25 tournament being the main source of the drafts.
All right, let's talk about this after we make our pick. So we're up in 2, and I brought over I'm trying to toggle between the actual board and then our picks. So we're up, and I was hoping one of Brees Hall or Bijan would fall to us. Alex P. Keaton took Bijan, very nice call. So we have Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Puka, and at the top of the receiver board. And then, who do you, who my favorite is.
Garrett Wilson or AJ Brown, but Garrett Wilson.
You're fine going my guy. Yeah. He's my favorite. I'm obsessed. I know I'm going to have to pump the brakes, but I can't control myself. So, okay. So while we're here, we'll be back up in 6. So based on ADP, it's AJ Brown, Puka, Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Chris Olave, and then we know the receivers. And then, the thing I'd say about Barkley is he has been falling. So I know we have him ranked much higher, but he has been falling a lot. But I'd
like to double up at receiver here if we can.
Okay, sounds good. I doubt Drake London will fall to us, but of course that would be my preference if he did. With 2 picks to go, who do you want?
I have no problem with Marvin Harrison.
I haven't taken much Marvin Harrison. I just have a problem this early, but I guess at 16, that's okay. So you want to do Marvin Harrison?
Yeah, and I get the argument against Harrison that's out there, like he's going so high and all these other guys.
It's just hard that early for me, I guess.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is we got to remember 2 years ago, the guy we just drafted, Garrett Wilson, had 150 targets.
He just went. So, okay. So Olave, Ayuk, Waddle. I need some more Waddle. And I don't
let's go Waddle.
Yeah, I don't usually get Waddle. I like the Waddle Garrett Wilson combo.
Yeah.
So
I just want to
finish your thought on that and then finish the thought. Let me bring over the board.
On Harrison. So, 2 years ago, Garrett Wilson got roughly 150 targets as a rookie. Of course, that was mainly with Zach Wilson, Lil Joe Flacco, and Mike White. Hopefully Kyler stays healthy, and Marvin Harrison's gained it from Kyler, one of the more efficient quarterbacks we've seen in the league when he's healthy and playing. So, sign me up. And Marvin Harrison, son of a All-Pro Hall of Famer, bigger, faster, stronger than pretty much anyone in this draft and anyone and pretty much most receivers out there. Sign me up. I have no problem with it. Yes, he has to hit a high percentage outcome, but I think it's set up for him to do so.
Okay. Well, then I don't mind. I need to get more exposure to him. And where I want to get exposure is like this, where he falls past 80.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's when I want to get, I know I need to get more exposure to him, and that this is when I want to get exposure to him. So finish what you're saying quickly, and then let's take a look at what the guys are doing on the board about you think ADPs are becoming more efficient as we get more drafts in different types of contests, basically?
Yeah. Okay. With more drafts and more contests, when it's just people drafting for the BBM, which is obviously it. It's people are taking bigger risks. People are drafting. They're drafting more based on week 17 correlations and things like that. With these smaller tournaments and the advanced rates, you're maybe not doing that as much. The finals aren't as big, so you maybe aren't hyper focusing on it as much.
Yeah.
You're maybe not overstacking teams. You're maybe not taking.
You're leaning into your rankings and player takes more.
Yeah, you're maybe not taking a quarterback with 3 of his weapons. Those types of things. So, and ensuring that you get bringbacks for every single stack, or like big. So. Yeah. I just think it becomes more efficient with more data. You're going to get more efficient. Especially when the data is a little bit more varied and more, these smaller tournaments, I think help make it.
No, that makes a ton of sense. I think that makes a ton of sense. Let's take a look and see what the board's doing. Wanted to bring over a bigger board and then toggle between that and then our picks. So can you see it okay though? Or should I go back to the other stuff? Okay. Okay. So we obviously went Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle. I don't have that combination. No, yeah, because Marvin Harrison went right before us. Sorry, my focus is not on point yet today. Anyway, the coffee is not hit, and it's 3:00. So, anyways, our guy Frank King Kings in the 2 spot went Lamb, Barkley, and this is what I'm talking about. Barkley has been, while we have Barkley ranked higher, he's falling all the way to the end of the set. I've even seen him go 3rd round. Have you?
No, I've been loving it because I've
been
taking
scoop it. Yeah, scoop it. But anyways, I think King King's got great value there, and it's got the week 17 correlation for him: Lamb, Barkley, DK Metcalf. And then Alex P. Keaton went double hero running back. Love that. We talked about doing stuff like that, especially now. Love that. Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. And then Noel Fan went AJ Brown, Drake London. So like the starts that we've got going for everybody here. And now let's bring over we are on the clock. And we did not queue anybody. We could go the Henry route unless there's any receivers you wanted to hit
Henry
as far as like
such a value.
Okay, so I mean, he just dropped a little bit. I was going to say, did you want to try like a 0 RB situation, or you would rather just take the value at Henry?
I'd take the value right there.
Okay, I agree.
And this be more.
This is like our hero build because obviously I still consider a Derrick Henry here as kind of like an anchor. So so we will. I mean, we're going to see what falls to us. If we get great value on running backs, we're going to consider that. But we talked about like doing a little bit like hammering the receivers early, which we don't do as much as some other 0 RB drafters. So we were going to experiment with that. We always talk about like, let me bring over the board. We always talk about how we are trying to keep the pacing of 3 receivers by 6, 4 by 7, 5 by 9, no matter what style or strategy we're drafting. But we do, especially this time of year, tend to like to get that certainty of running back early. And so we were going to experiment with that. But I agree with you. Having Henry fall with that start, I like a lot. We took Henry. Noel Fan took Tank Dell. So he's got a nice little 0 RB. He's back on the clock. And then we are 2 away and need to decide what we want to do here. So Noel Fan goes Jalen Hurts since he got AJ Brown, which makes a ton of sense. And we're up in 1, Steve. Based on ADP. You have Josh Allen, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Amari Cooper. I'm fine kind of
Higgins or Pickens.
That's what I was thinking too. Sorry, my clicking is off today. Okay, so I probably have more Pickens, but I like both. So I'll let you choose.
Let's go Higgins.
Okay.
I think there's a big bounce back spot for him this year.
And you don't mind having 2 12s in the first 3?
No.
Okay, no. We just need to be cognizant of that the rest of the way. Okay, so we started 0 1 3 0. Derrick Henry, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, and T. Higgins. I like that a lot. We'll now have a little break. So we have a lot of quarterbacks that we can queue up. And you know me, I'm a queuer. I like to just keep an eye on it. So as long as the star method doesn't go bad and you're paying attention, you've got some elite quarterbacks, in my opinion. I know there's only so many elite quarterbacks, but you have some good amazing quarterbacks that you can queue up with Joe Burrow that are going at really good value. Obviously, Garrett Wilson being the first one, Tua with Jalen Waddle, Joe Burrow with T. Higgins, Tua with Jalen Waddle, and Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson. So sorry, I do not know why the brain is not firing yet, but sorry about that. But those are 3 amazing quarterbacks that you could potentially stack, basically.
Great guys to add value also. And sure, like they don't have the big rushing chops, but we've seen Burrow when he's healthy is fantastic. Tua, up until the end of the year when kind of Tyreek was a little banged up and Waddle was a little banged up, Tua was for a long time top 6, top 7 in fantasy throughout much of the year. You became him much later. And they're deeper now. They go out and get, Odell and Malik Washington. They get Jonnu. Like they have more weapons in case there's a game that Tyreek misses, in case there's a game that Waddle misses. Yeah. And then of course Aaron Rodgers, coming back from the injury. This guy just won 2 MVPs back to back a couple years ago. We know what he can do. I have no problem with him being, more like a QB2, but I have no problem with him being one of my top 2 quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah. So while we are waiting to come back around. I'm just going to cue some people some guys we can talk about. Obviously, running backs are starting to go now. And let's see here. So I queued up so far. I've queued up Worthy, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins. Because I do believe Calvin Ridley was just drafted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Ridley has not been drafted.
My star method is just okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I have Hollywood Brown. We're still 7 picks away, so I'll leave the board up. But I have Hollywood Brown, Calvin Ridley, Ladd McConkey, Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins queued up, and then we do still have Josh Jacobs there as well to decide between. And I of course think people keep bumping him down, but I do think there's a tier break there.
Yeah.
And so let's make these. We can make these 2 picks, and then we can.
One interesting thing with Jacobs, and Travis Etienne has gotten this a little bit as well, is people knock them because of this whole they might not get the full workload sort of thing. But I mean, that could be said about any number of these guys. At the top. I mean, guys like Jonathan Taylor or Saquon. It could be their quarterback taking the work for him. As much as we love Bijan, who's to say Algier doesn't have a good year? As much as we love Breece Hall, who's to say that the 240-pound Braylon Allen doesn't steal?
I mean, I'm obsessed with Bijan and Breece, so don't.
But my point is the same argument should be made against them that Josh Jacobs is getting, because there's
I mean, I do think Bijan especially is going to get elite usage, but yeah, I get what the whole point you're saying. So do you want to go Jacobs here is the question.
Actually, I'd rather go receiver.
Okay. Well, Ridley just went. There's a big tier break. Can I just ask why? Because you have Jacobs ranked so high.
I was thinking it was going to be Ridley, but now it's Jacobs.
Yeah, Ridley. If Ridley was still there, but there's a big tier break, we'd be reaching on a receiver and essentially getting value on Jacobs.
Yeah, let's take Jacobs now.
Okay. Let's do that. And what I like about this is we're just targeting offenses we absolutely are obsessed with or think are going to be like top 10 offenses or undervalued offenses in, Ravens, Packers, Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, I mean, targeting those 5 offenses, don't mind that.
Yeah.
So I left the receivers queued up. I think we can now kind of, focus on receiver essentially. Since we have 2 really good anchors in the first 5 rounds, and we obviously still have 3x6 here, and probably have actually 4x6 most likely. So let me queue up a few more, and then we can discuss. And then what's your take on kind of letting the guys that are falling fall, like a Keon Coleman? Like, I guess for someone like him, he's further down the board, so I wouldn't take him here. But let me bring over the tab to sit. I wouldn't take like a Keon Coleman here because he's been falling. I would say in this situation, especially in the BBM, let them fall a little bit more. Is that how you've been handling it?
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of if you have Josh Allen maximized.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So based on ADP, so I don't have these in order of ADP here, but based on, I brought over the 4 top ADP that we like: Hopkins, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, Jordan Addison, because I don't think certainly don't reach for Burrow here. So who do you like best here? I'll let you choose.
I'd go Hopkins.
Yeah, I was thinking Hopkins as well. Gives us a late stack option. And you and I are both very high on Ridley, but we're high on the whole Tennessee offense,
Well, and this is the thing, I know the report was Ridley is going to be used like Jamar Chase and all that, and that very well could be true. But T. Higgins has done very well in Cincinnati, and while he's not put up Chase-like numbers, I think the gap between the talent of Chase and Higgins is much wider than the gap between Ridley and Hopkins. In fact, one could argue Hopkins is better than Ridley.
I know a lot of places that you and I both have Ridley ranked higher than Hopkins, but I know places, definitely a lot of outlets have Hopkins ranked higher than Ridley. So, I don't know that I agree with that, but,
And unlike that situation where Burrow obviously knew, Chase from their college days. There's none of that here. Will Levis has more familiarity with Hopkins of playing with him last year. So I think, I prefer Ridley overall. I have no problem with Hopkins. I mean, there's probably like a 45% chance of who ends up the number one receiver on that team. So I have no problem taking the other side.
Well, so, I mean, you and I both have Ridley ranked so high. So do you think they should be closer together in ranking? But we're both higher than market on Hopkins too. We're higher in market than on the whole.
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
than ADP, I should say.
I'm fine, because if Ridley does have the chase role, he probably will be more the primary focus. It's just Hopkins, could just be more talented, could just have the better rapport with, Levis. Levis might trust him more. So it's just, to me, I'm fine. If I had the choice between the two at the same pick, I'm taking Ridley every time. But if it's a situation like this where, we didn't get Ridley, but we come back and get Hopkins, I think we still have a very good chance with the Tennessee number one receiver.
Yeah, yeah.
And if not, a good number two.
And bottom line, you have Hopkins ranked higher than way higher than ADP, just like you have Ridley ranked higher than ADP. So it's not like you're in on one, out on one, which I know some people are. I think we're in on both is the basic gist of it.
Yeah.
We'll make our next couple picks and we'll take a look at what folks have been doing. So the question here is, Steve, with a Joe Burrow ADP of 89, how do you want to handle that? We're at 81, 88. I mean, the Chase draft. Oh, no, the Chase drafter took him. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, if the Chase drafter doesn't take him.
Yeah.
Let me scroll down. Sorry about that. If the Chase draft doesn't take him, then let's try to push him to 88. But he took him, so that's a moot point. We are up in 2. Okay, so we're up in 2, and based on ADP, you've got Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson at the top of the running backs. You've got JSN, Keon Coleman, as I talked about him falling, though this is a little after his ADP. Jameson Williams at the top of the receiver board. You do kind of can hit a cliff there. And then, I do love Jake Ferguson too. So thoughts on I
take a running back. I know Stevenson just went, but
I think we could wait on
running. Kamara.
Oh, I don't really agree with that.
There's not a receiver I'd take. Coleman is week 12, and we already have 2.
I just feel like there's a tier. I just feel like shit. Sorry, I just feel like there's a tier break between some of these receivers, though we're going to be back up. So
yeah.
All right. So you want to go Kamara?
Yeah, I think Kamara's falling for no good reason, and just because he sat out one day of these OTAs, and it's like, all right, I'll take the guy who, sure, he gets a lot of his work through catches, but again, the guy who's taking over the offense, Clint Kubiak, just spent time in the 49ers offense. They kind of throw the ball to the running back a lot. Alvin Kamara is the skill set most closely in the NFL, most closely resembling Christian McCaffrey. I just think there's value there.
Okay, so we still kept the pacing, even getting 3 running backs early of 3 receivers by 6, 4 by 6. So definitely before 4 by 7. I feel like you got to feel the room, right? And I feel like the room is, still crushing receivers, and I feel like the tier break's coming. And I certainly don't want to wait till 9 or 10 to get our 5th.
Take a receiver here.
So yeah, we're going to take a receiver here. Let me bring over the board. Some of the guys I queued that I talked about were, so per your rankings, it's Cortland Sutton, Jameson Williams, Mike Williams per ADP, Jameson Williams, Cortland Sutton. So I'll put those 3 up, and I will let you choose, though I would maybe stay away from Mike Williams I don't think we want 3 week 12 buys.
No, I have Jameson Williams.
Okay, perfect. That's who I was hoping. Though I don't have much Bo Nix late. Do you have much Bo Nix late with a with like a Sutton or any of the other Denver receivers. That's something I probably need to get a little bit, just because you still can get him so late.
Yeah.
Have you taken much of Nick's?
I've taken him a couple times.
I haven't
it's
taken
definitely not a priority.
all.
It's just if the build's right, but part of the issue is, I just don't love. I don't mind taking some shots at Mims, especially in a tournament like this, where Mims could be, like the next Rashid Shaheed or Gabe Davis, like the ultimate spike week guy. But we just don't know with him, Franklin, Josh Reynolds, how that all shapes out. Like I like Sutton a lot in this range, but if I'm not getting Sutton, I really am not a huge fan of Franklin right now. I definitely don't like Franklin above Mims, and Reynolds I don't mind as like an 18th round guy, but it's either some Mims, but typically it's like I took Mims some in the last puppy that went out, just because it's more of the lotto type draft. But yeah, I'm not getting a lot of Bo Nix right now, but I probably will get on him more because I think he is going to be the clear starter there.
Yeah. As the drafting season wears on, I do need to get a little bit more Nix and the receivers you mentioned, Mims and Sutton, and I don't have much yet. Let's take a look at what our guys in the draft are doing as we have a little bit of a break here. Nice. Frank just got Dak with Lamb, so that's always a favorite of Steve and I's. I mean, two Washington fans over here, but probably want. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. Do you want, if you could choose the way it ends up, do you want maybe Dak as one of your highest owned quarterbacks at cost?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the value you're getting is just fantastic.
Yeah. So love that. So obviously with his Lamb Barkley start that correlates week 17, then he gets Dak Prescott and he's back on the clock now. So we'll see what he does here and then see what the other guys in chat are doing. And then we'll be up again at like the 9-10 turn at 105 and 112. Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything too wild in this room so far. I mean, it's pretty much standard. I like that. I've done this a couple times. This is one of my favorites. I mean, Frank, love it. He got Lamb, then he got Jaden Reed round 5, and I've done this before too. You go Dak, Love. I've done it sometimes with Reed, and then I've done it sometimes and just been like, I'm going to backstack Jordan Love, one of the two, and then I do with usually sometimes two, like a receiver and Musgrave. But oh my God, this might be my favorite type of build with getting those two quarterbacks in the 8th and 9th round. I just think I need more Love. I was looking at my exposures. I need more Love in general and more Dak. I'm trying to get I want those to be two of my highest quarterbacks. To the fact that we're getting them 8th, 9th round, I just think we're going to look back on. There's a lot of quarterbacks in that, and I'm going to be writing about this more, but from 8th to 15th round, I just think the quarterback, yes, I love the elite quarterbacks, but from the 8th to 15th round, I just think the quarterbacks are criminally priced too low. And I think we're going to look back and be like, why were they in the 8th round, 9th round, 10th round, 12th round, 14th round, 13th, or whatever Herbert is? It's wild. So we're up in one pick, Steve. Let me share.
See what Michael J. Fox does.
That's right. And then we'll take a look after this at what Alex P. Keaton, but we are on the boards or in one pick, Steve. So, and on the clock now, he took Njoku. So starting 3-5, which is what we like to do. What do you want to do here?
I don't mind Schultz to tight end.
Yeah, that's way too early for him. I don't like that. Okay, quickly. Mike
Williams. Lockett. I'd say Lockett.
Okay.
From a bye week consideration, Williams, Shakir, and
Lockett was the top of ADP, so we got him. I mean, do we want to just? I mean, I think we can push Tua. Let's see what the Waddle drafter. Where was the Waddle drafter?
We're the Waddle drafter.
Oh, I meant the Hill drafter.
Yeah.
Whoa. The Hill
Pepperjack number 5 spot.
Yeah, he took Tyler.
Well, they might take Tua though here
Yeah.
because they also have a chain. You're going heavy Miami.
Oh, okay. So if we wanted Tua, we'd have to reach. So yeah, I don't think we reach for Tua. We have other options.
Yeah.
We have Goff, we have Rodgers, we have Levis, all and Geno. So we have all those available to us. So what do you want to do in 3 picks is the question.
You could, especially
I kind of like the Tony
looking
Pollard.
at Levis, I was thinking that, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Do you want to just hold off on running backs and go 4-6 with our first, and then just basically do like a essentially late tight end and late quarterback build?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a fun little experiment, and something that I've experimented in some of these fast or other types of drafts too. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I like that.
Right. Excuse me. Pollard is the top of your rankings and the top of ADP, and he correlates. So let's go for it. Okay. And then as you can see, I've queued up Tua, Goff, Rodgers, Levis, like you said, the one guy at the 4 spot with Hill, and a chain is likely going to get Tua, but we still have multiple options. And then, multiple other options. So, I mean, I don't mind this start, though. I'll tell you one guy, especially if he falls, I know we don't have anything built in yet with him, but it's somebody I mentioned earlier that, like, if you get like a Herbert that falls, because I've seen him fall before too, which I just think it's his price is, like, to me, criminally low. And then sometimes he's falling too. So if he falls, we could look to backstack him. So let's take a quick look at what's going on. So we talked about how Frank, who's coming back up soon, did the Dak Love with Lamb and Reed. Love that. And then Pepper Jack did not take Tua there, but he'll probably likely take him at 125. Yeah. And then in our draft, Alex P. Keaton, he started the Bijan Gibbs and then went heavy receiver, as you do when you do a double hero start. And love the receivers. He got more Cooper, Calvin Ridley, one of our faves, Rashee Rice, JSN. Then he did double tight end and then went back to Tyjae Spears. So I like that a lot. And then Noel Fan at the 11 spot, AJ Brown, Drake London, Tank Dell, Jalen Hurts with AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, Xavier Worthy, Aaron, and then hit the running backs hard in the where there is a lot of good value here in the 7 through 10 round. Aaron Jones, Amir White, Devin Singletary, a lot of good just projected volume there. So I like that a lot. And then got Brandon Cooks. So
which is also his week 17 correlation.
Yep, exactly. And I think it was you and I did a draft. I want to say our last Sibling Showdown, we did a heavy Eagles Cowboys, and then my draft with what's that?
I think it was 2 shows ago.
Yeah, 2 shows ago we did that, and then my draft with Neil, we did a heavy Dallas, Philly.
It's definitely gettable this year.
It is, and we know that game has the potential to shoot out. I love that Frank added
both these guys, Kings and Noel Fan, are going for that. They're just different sides of it.
Yeah. And I absolutely love it. Yeah, and Frank just got Elliott. Love it. I mean, when you're getting the guy that's going to be like the goal line guy in the 11th round to further correlate, I absolutely love that.
As many pieces as likely a top 5 offense as possible. That sounds like a good idea.
If Tua goes where we thought he would at 125, and we'll be up in 3. So now that we've looked at the board and we've so our first 10 picks, we went 4 running backs and 6 receivers. So, it's built where now we're just need to focus on what are the right stacks for us. What are the right tight ends for us? So we'll be up at 129 and 136. And I still left the quarterbacks queued up. So we're right around Goff's ADP if you want to get that certainty. Or do you want to push it further?
I wouldn't mind doing Schultz too, because tight end just kind of gets weak. And Schultz also correlates with Henry for week 17.
Okay, so you would push that over getting Goff?
Yeah, and if Goff comes back,
Goff could come back to us.
Yeah, and it's not like we have Goff with Monra or Goff with Laporta. We have him with Williams.
Here's the thing: a problem I have with Goff is I like Herbert better. I feel.
Oh yeah, I mean just 1 for 1. It's hard to argue that.
It's hard. It's tough. But Goff went. Oh shit, Van Herber. I was like, maybe we can.
Well, we could,
okay.
I mean, we could take Cousins and maybe hope Mooney falls back to us.
We're not going to take Cousins here. It's that unstacked. It's too early.
Well, you could hope Mooney falls back at
what's Mooney's ADP?
149. So he'd have to fall a couple spots, but.
Or do you take Mooney and hope Cousins?
No, I don't think it would go that way. Because then the London or the Pitts drafter is going to take.
Then you have nobody to stack with Cousins, though. If
yeah,
I don't love that. I don't know.
I would rather have the quarterback.
What if we get weird and we get Jerome Ford here? I'm just throwing it out there.
Let's do it. Let's get weird. Let's just take value.
I mean, because we can. I mean, let me first bring over this board again. Sorry. Okay, so let me assess things here. So we started 5-6-1. So we literally need, basically with our last picks, 3 quarterbacks stacked with somebody who we're trying to stack. And that was my fear about pulling. And I just am not comfortable taking an unstacked Cousins with, there's really nobody to stack besides Rondell Moore, and taking him early. I agree that I have Cousins ranked higher. And so if I was going off rankings, Cousins would be there. But it's just the comfortability of not having him stacked and not guaranteeing that we can get him stacked. Now, so that was the issue there. So we do something unique where we're done at running back. Henry, Jacobs, Kamara, Pollard, Ford. We got them all in, let's see, what round did we just draft? In the first 12 rounds, we got our 5 running backs and 3 of them within the first, I believe, 6 or 7. Then 6 receivers. We kept the pacing there as well. We got 3 by 4 and 4 by 6 and 5 by 8 and 6 by 9. So because we kind of are doing a late round quarterback and tight end build, we essentially have built out a solid that we could go 3-6-6-3 3-5-7-3 easily here. And you felt strong with the Schultz pick. It was right at ADP, and then it's got that correlation for week 17 with Henry.
That I think it allows us to, our last 2 tight ends can basically be the last 2 picks now.
Yep. That's a great point as well. Okay, so we're just out of curiosity. I'm looking, and I've scrolled the board down so people can see, but I'm scrolling up to see where the Cousins potential drafter. So Alex P. Keaton has Bijan, and he doesn't have a quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went Cousins. And then Drake London, that's the Jalen Hurts team, so he may or may not. And then
no fan.
No fan has Drake London, but also already has Pert, so he may or may not be interested in that. And then where is the Kyle Pitts team? Trying to figure out that. Scrolling up. That was the 6 spot or 7 spot, and they took Anthony Richardson and Jaden Daniels. So they're unlikely. So it'd either probably be 2 of our guys, either X.P. Keaton or Noah Fan. And Mooney went. So there's really nobody to stack with them besides
now it's
besides Rondell Moore late as the last receiver. So we're at 153 and 160. So let me bring this over.
So I would take Aaron Rodgers.
So Alex P. Keaton, to no surprise, did do Kirk Cousins. So do you just want to grab our first quarterback here with Rodgers to, I know sometimes he falls, but we just want to get our guy with, why is it? Okay. Okay. So we got Rodgers as our first quarterback with Garrett Wilson. I probably want to push Will Levis. Is there anybody else here that you want to backstack, or would our third quarterback be somebody later?
I honestly think we take Levis or Geno here. I think we need quarterback. We can't mess around.
I mean, I like Levis way more than Geno. We're at Levis's ADP though. Who has Calvin Ridley?
Alex P. Keaton.
Oh, okay. And he would have 2 shots at it before.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're happy with our teams, so screw it. Let's just get our guys.
No, I mean, this is the thing. We took value at running back and receiver.
Now we can reach to get our stacks.
We might need to reach to get our quarterbacks, but it's better to reach now than to reach early. You know what I mean?
Right. Especially because honestly, you and I both have, now that we did it, let me move this board back over. So honestly, we both have Levis and Rodgers ranked right around here.
Yeah.
Probably earlier.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, you and I both do. So, like you said, we got value at running back receiver. So we're just grabbing our guys. So we now have 2 stacks completed. So with, so that was, let's see, our, 13th and 14th round picks. We got the 2 quarterback stacks. So now we have a 2, 5, 6, 1 and 2 quarterback stacks completed, doing this whole late round quarterback and late round tight end thing. And so we have Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis, both stacked, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, Jerome Ford, done. Love it. And only 1 bye week overlap there. Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, Jameson Williams, Tyler Lockett. We've got Wilson and DeAndre Hopkins stacked. We can also look, if tight ends fall, to stack those tight ends. But like you said, we kind of probably want to wait on that too. So, and then Dalton Schultz correlated with the week 17 with Derrick Henry. So I like that a lot. Let's see what the guys on the board are doing. Then we can talk through what we want to do at pick 15 and 16 with 4 picks left in the draft. So as we discussed, Alex P. Keaton went Kirk Cousins with his Bijan build, which I like a lot. I feel like that correlates a lot. It's kind of like getting Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, right? You know, and then he gets Deshaun Watson because he has David Njoku and Cooper. Love that. Yep. So, and then Noel Fan had gotten Jalen Hurts earlier with AJ Brown, but got Baker Mayfield. Does he have, I assume, Chris Godwin? So yeah, like that a lot. And then King of Kings got Hunter Henry and Antonio Gibson. He'd likely maybe building out a little Drake May as a last stack. Don't hate that, like that a lot. And then we will be coming up at 177 and 184. So with that said, we need 1 more quarterback, 1 more receiver, 2 more tight ends. We are up in 3. I'll bring this over so we can, so I'll throw this out. We could do like a Marvin Mims here and then set up the Bo Nix thing we talked about. What week is Bo Nix?
14.
Okay. So that's an option.
Okay. Can you just highlight quarterback real quick?
Yeah. So I know
Gino.
I just feel like he's going to get benched, but
I don't think so. I don't think there's any chance of that.
And then we're at Conklin's ADP.
I'd rather take Gino. We need upside at quarterback, and that's Gino in this offense.
Well, I need some Gino shares. What bye week is he? 10. Okay.
10.
Okay. Yeah, I need some Gino shares. I guess I'm skeptical. We saw it big time 2 years ago. It just felt like up and down last year, but you just think that was a product of injuries?
I think that was a product of, there's at one point like 4 of their starting offensive linemen were injured. And he got injured multiple times. And I think the offensive coordinator, they lost their quarterback coach, Dave Canales, and Shane Waldron, just whatever, it just did not work. And this year, bringing in Grubb from College of Washington, I think could be really good with that receiving group. It is tailor-made to Gino's strengths of deep ball throwing and accuracy.
Oh shit! Hold on, we're back on the clock. Sorry, I lost focus for a second.
Is Conklin still there?
Yeah, you want to just go get that?
Yep.
Okay, yep. Sorry. Let me. Just to show you, Mims is still there, but it's not like we're building out a stack, so you don't feel like that's. I say get the double stack with Rodgers. So.
I agree.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So now we've got a 3, 5, 6, 2. So we're just looking for 1 more receiver, 1 more tight end to finish out the draft. We have our 3 stacks: Rodgers, Levis, Gino. We did a late round quarterback and tight end, but we built it out all with some of our early guys with Garrett Wilson, with DeAndre Hopkins, and well, I guess a little later with Lockett, but a receiver that we still like a lot. So, so I like that, and I do need Geno exposure. I think I'm a little too stubborn on Seattle, and I know like we talked about in the offensive coordinator show, which is another strategy session. Again, we're doing plenty of like 4 to 5 live drafts a week here on FanSpeak Network, but we're also doing strategy shows as well. So be sure to like and subscribe to make sure you see all of it. And again, we talked about our strategy session for these timebacks tournaments, but I thought the strategy session on offensive coordinators and Ryan Grubb from Seattle was one you highlighted is something that is very, very helpful. So I do need to be open to more Geno and Seattle stacks, period, not just Seattle players. So, so I like that. So Rodgers, Levis, Geno, Henry, Jacobs, Kamara, Pollard, Ford, Wilson, Waddle, Higgins, Hopkins, James Williams, Lockett, Schultz, Conklin. So we've got, 2 guys stacked with Levis, 2 guys stacked with Rodgers, Lockett stacked with Geno. So I queued up Chig, and is Fant still there? Shoot, I think Fant's gone.
Fant just went. I don't mind.
Oh, sorry, I didn't bring over the board. I apologize. Fant just went because I was going to queue up Fant and Chig to be like, okay, let's get 2 of them stacked. So maybe Chig falls to us.
If not Chig, I don't.
I mean, Frank is just getting our favorite guys here. I mean, he takes Noah Fant, good pick. So I can tell he's potentially setting up a Drake May stack. He adds to his Dallas stack with Jalen Tolbert. Love that. I mean, love what you're doing there, Frank. Absolutely love it. I missed it. Actually, Alex P. Keaton got Drake May. And he did a late round quarterback build too, to point out. We talked about exactly what we did. Exactly. Yeah. He built out, he did the double hero running back. Then he hammered receiver. You do the exact correct thing when you do our double hero running back. Then he hammered receiver. He still got 5 by 7. He does 2 like middle elite tight ends. Yeah. I mean, I still consider that the elite tight end tier. We're almost back up. And then goes back to mixing it up and getting it 3 stacks. We'll probably build out a late round stack here with Drake May. And then we'll look what Nolfian's doing. And then we're up in 1. So, and Chig is still there. Yes. Do you want to go Chig?
Yep.
Beautiful. There's no bye week correlation. Yeah. 14, 5, 12. So, okay. Wow. That worked out awesome. I love it. As you can see, I queued up our guy JT Sanders, but we didn't need to do it because we got
queue receivers now.
Yeah, because we're back up in 6. Good point.
Yeah.
Let me stay here. Okay, so on the top of your ranks is Beckham, Slayton, Boyd correlates. On top of ADP is Walker, Boyd, Slayton, Dortch, Chark, Beckham, Hyatt. So I'll let you choose. I'm going to pull out Sanders since we got our 3 tight ends. I will let you choose. We're obviously building 3-5-7-3 and drafting
your receiver. Our receivers real quick.
Yeah. So our receivers, again, with 4 picks away, is Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, Jameson Williams, and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah. So
I'd say no bye week 5 and no bye week 12 if you could avoid it.
No Boyd. So Beckham or Slayton. Slayton, I think, has the higher upside of being probably the number 2, and we already have Waddle, so Beckham.
Oh, that's true.
Insurance on that, but without getting Tua, it doesn't. I don't love double stacking a receiver group without the quarterback.
Without Tua, yeah. I don't mind like getting like running back, receiver, or receiver tight end, but I get what you're saying. Okay, so you say Slayton here?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. It was definitely different in that doing a full late round quarterback and tight end. And as we saw, I'll bring over the board now. As we saw, Alex P. Keaton did similar with the building out a late round quarterback as well. He hit the middle tier, like elite tight ends with Ferguson and Njoku. And I like that a lot. And he got Polk and with Drake May. So yeah, he got 3 quarterbacks, later round quarterbacks all stacked. Love that. And then got Baker as well. So, and then he got those kind of middle elite, like that a lot. So considering we waited, I really like how the draft shaped out. And then Noel Fan is finishing up, and he got JT Sanders. I like it. You're listening to some fan speak shows, and I love that you join us in chat, join us in drafts, but love that you're on the JT Sanders train too. So yeah, he got that AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts star, did some Dallas correlation, got Baker Mayfield later with both Kate Otten and Chris Godwin, and then got a late Russell Wilson, like that a lot.
And Frymuth.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And then King of Kings, we said we've been loving his draft with the double tap of Dak, Jordan Love with Reed and Lamb. Further built out that Dallas Philly week 17. Then got some late round tight ends that I definitely like. I'll be actually writing about late round tight ends tonight. So again, this would be a good time to obviously like and subscribe, and be sure to tell friends, because we do 4 to 5 live drafts a week. And as I mentioned, we do strategy shows too, but also check out our articles are free on fanspeak.com. Steve's rankings will be updated tomorrow. I'll have a new article up on late round tight ends. Yes, I like hitting the elite tight ends too this year, but I still do think there are late round tight ends that are viable and that are undervalued or could pop off. And I actually really like some of the ones that he hit. Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Hayden Hurst could be a very low owned BBM that hits, so love that. If you're going to do the late round tight end, I like ours too. Dalton Schultz, not super late, but you got that nice correlation of Texans Ravens week 17, and then both Conklin and Chig correlate to our quarterback. So once the draft finishes up, we'll do a full review and then get out of here. But I kind of like what everybody in the fan speak room did, and kind of like how ours played out. Frank says thanks for the draft. Good luck. Thanks to you, and thanks to you, Alex P. Keaton, and Noel Fan, of course, for joining us. And Frank, I don't know, I might have you like minus 125 here to take the take the thing, because when you get Dak, Jordan Love, you're getting my favorite guys at value there. So,
well, let me tell you, if that Eagles Cowboys stack is the one you need, both Noel Fan and Kings are in really good spots for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is this the one? Yeah. Okay. Let me pull this over. Okay. So, and we had James joined us earlier, talked about like how to set up with mobile when it gives us. So thank you again for everybody joining us in chat. We'll review the teams really quick. Again, we kind of went through this, but we just kind of hammered running back receivers 4, 6 through 10, 5, 5, 7 early, or 5, 7, 5, 6 early. So then it was just a full blown late round quarterback and tight end build, but we correlated everything. So 3, 5, 7, 3, Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis, Geno Smith, then Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, Jerome Ford, then Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, Jameson Williams, Tyler Lockett, Darius Slayton, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin, and Chig Okonkwo. So we've got, the double stack going with Rodgers and Levis. Triple stack with Levis, one of my favorites. You build it out at the quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end with Levis, Pollard, Hopkins, Chig. And that speaks perfectly to Titans being one of my favorite undervalued offenses. Yeah. Not promising a Texans explosion here, but they're just all undervalued to me. And then we got some good value on them overall, outside of grabbing Levis, because like you said, you wanted to go get our guy. So yeah, I'm really happy with this draft, despite kind of definitely a different type of build. What are your thoughts, Steve? And then we'll go to the other guys.
Yeah, no, I think just starting with the quarterbacks, yes, we waited, and people will say that's crazy, but again, that worked 2 years ago for Pat Crane. He took Tom Brady, Tua and Daniel Jones, none of them in the top 10 rounds, I believe. And then, that paid off pretty well for him. So, and even last year, the quarterbacks were
Tua,
Stroud, and Jordan Love. And, again, not high draft capital. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's all. That was all. Tua was the highest.
Maybe around 10.
So that was probably like 10, 14, 13, 14 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So, point being is, it can work. It absolutely can. And
what allows you to fill out those positions so
exactly
solidly.
And I think that's the way you do it. I think sometimes people will only take 2 of these types of guys, and I think by getting 3, it's how you really can ping pong your way through.
Yeah.
We talked about before the guy last year. If he'd only taken 2 of those guys, he doesn't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just with the way those guys balanced each other out. And
even if it was Tua and Love, he needed Stroud in that middle area.
Yeah, and same with Pat Crane 2 years ago. He needed all 3 guys to get all the way there.
And I do believe both were second in their pod. So do they even make playoffs without 3?
Exactly. To say nothing of the quarter and semifinals. So and I think both our running back and receiver rooms are very, very stacked. If you could just look at them real quick.
Absolutely. Yeah. So running backs,
like Henry Jacobs, Kamara. I mean, that could be as good as it gets. I mean, that could be 3 of the top 12 running backs in
value on all of them too.
Yeah. And then Pollard,
major value on
high
Pollard.
On, even if Pollard and Ford are
look at the value on Pollard and Ford too. 101 to 112, 126 to 136 on Jerome Ford.
Like even if they're splitting those roles, they could very well have significant roles where we're not taking any of these guys that have potential for no role. As long as these guys are healthy, they're putting up points.
And I'm not poo-pooing 0 RB drafters because I'm going to have plenty of 0 RB drafts too. But a lot of 0 RB builds, Pollard and Ford are their first and second running back. They're our 4th and 5th, but. And I know that obviously means our receiver, but you look at our receivers, I'm not uncomfortable with our receivers, So let's scroll down and take a look.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson. And then people say, oh, you got Waddle and Higgins, the 2s in those offenses, but those are pretty good 2s, especially the quarterbacks stay healthy. I mean, and
Higgins target shares.
Higgins is playing for a big contract. Garrett Wilson, we know, is a huge upgrade this year with Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully he's staying healthy. And we talked about the Hopkins-Ridley debate earlier. Hopkins could end up being the number 1 there.
Yeah.
And then we add in a spike week guy like Jameson Williams. Definitely not going to be the number 1 there. Tyler Lockett, I think, is going to be the same thing. Definitely not going to be the number 1 over Metcalf, but I think a value there. And then Slayton, same sort of thing, just on a much weaker offense.
Right.
But he's probably the clear number 2 on a team that lost their premier running back who caught a lot of balls, and their tight end and Darren Waller who caught a lot of balls. So even with Malik Neighbors as the alpha, Slayton could get plenty of work and is an absolute spike week guy. So we got 3 spike week guys to kind of go along with 4 really good starting receivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin, Chigakonkwo, 2 correlate with our quarterbacks in Conklin and Okonkwo, and Dalton Schultz correlates to a week 14. We wanted to get a solid one that we had optionality to really wait if we wanted to, but I like what we did with Conklin and Chig, but he correlates to Derrick Henry. Go ahead.
And similar to what Nolfan did, if you're going to wait on tight end, this is kind of how I like to do it. You take somebody in that Dalton Schultz, Pat Freiermuth, Cole Kmet range, a good, not great tight end, and then you can kind of wait till the end. And Nolfan did a very similar thing. He took Pat Freiermuth, and they got, I believe it was Otten and Jatavian Sanders. So he still got 3, but the other 2 are much later. And that just puts him in a spot to have not a great tight end, obviously, but a guy like Schultz in a good offense, or Freiermuth, who could be a breakout candidate. This year, same with Kmet. Those are the types of guys who, I consider them more like anchor tight ends.
I need to get more of that range, to be quite honest. So this was good to get a Geno stack. Need to do a little more of that. Need to get more the Schultz. Just these guys either just like you said, tied to these good offenses, or too often I think I've been personally doing where the elites kind of cut off, anywhere from that. I mean, honestly, I don't usually do Laporte or anything, but anywhere from that 4th, 5th to 8th, 9th range, I get a tight end I like a Kittle. A lot of times I'm getting a Kittle or Pitts, but that range, and I do 2, and then or I do the 3 late round tight end where I start at the Musgrave, Hunter Henry range, and that's probably what I'm going to write about is the Musgrave, Hunter Henry range through the Jatavian Sanders, probably 14th through 18th or 13th through 18th.
Yeah.
But I like what you're saying about the Freiermuth, Schultz, Kmetz. I need to get more exposure to them in general, because again, a lot of them are tied to really good offenses we got here. So you do have 2 touchdown upside, and hey, this gives a little throwback to my, cause Steve was sweating it out with me, my BBM3 finals team. Thursday night, Titans versus Cowboys. Dalton Schultz scores 2 touchdowns. And you know what kills me is when we watch content now, they'll talk about like, well, talking about like the elite tight ends and that kind of stuff. They're like, nobody really, I think, went off that week, right?
Yeah, no other tight end went off
outside of Dalton Schultz. And it was like, but you didn't need Dalton Schultz because only 4% people had him. And I was like, I was that 4%. I was that 4%. But I had Justin Jefferson that caught one pass. So what a time. But literally after that Thursday night, I was in second place. Count read $1 million. And let me just tell you, it did not hold.
Yeah, unfortunately, between
Steve saw the unraveling
between Washington and Minnesota's offense is just completely faltering, and then of course the Cincinnati game getting canceled.
Yeah, because oh my gosh, we have Higgins too. Yeah. Do we have anybody else from my BBM3 fantasy team that I can get some vibes on? No, yeah, I had Higgins in that team. No, because I did it, but I did a Dak at quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. Could that be the Titans? Could that be the Levis Titans game? Speaking of, it was Titans Cowboys. I'm hanging on anything here, people. All right, Spread joined us to say hello. Hey, Spread, be sure to check him out drafting DraftKings tomorrow at 4 p.m. And every week he drafts in the DraftKings streets, but he's going to get in the Underdog streets with us more. He did weekly winners with Steve a couple weeks ago, so I'm sure we'll be doing some more Underdog with Spread. So let's check out the other teams, Steve, and then we'll get out of here. We kind of talked about it throughout the draft, so I'll make it quick. But King of Kings, Frank went 2-5-8-3. We talked about he double tapped Love and Prescott. That's one of our favorites quarterback combos to get. And if you're in that position where you can get Lamb and Reed, it lines up perfectly to double tap Dak and Love. So absolutely love it. And then he correlated with Saquon Barkley week 17 to the Cowboys Eagles. So Barkley, Rashad White, Ezekiel Elliott for their correlation, Ty Chandler, Antonio Gibson, a lot of running backs I really like. Lamb, Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed, who we talked about, Jordan Addison, Dontavian Wicks, see some week 17 correlation there. Xavier Legette, Jalen Tolbert, further building on that. And then Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, and Hayden Hurst. That's a late round tight end room that I absolutely love. So I love Frank's draft. Any other thoughts? We kind of talked about it throughout, but I absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, really hammering those two teams and two games, especially the Dallas-Philly game, the Green Bay.
And he hammered the Green Bay, Minnesota. Yeah.
So he hit those games and those teams. And yeah, I think that's the way you do it. He double stacked both Dak with 2 receivers and Love with 2 receivers. And then he's got the running back for Dak as well. And
then he runs it back with Barkley, Ty Chandler, Jordan Addison. Yeah, I absolutely love it. Okay, let's check out Alex P. Keaton, who was right ahead of us in the 8th spot, 3-4-8-3. So he did like a little hyper fragile thing. And because he did a double hero. Yep. So Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson, Drake May, I know all were correlated because I watched him doing it as we were going, did the double hero, and then definitely went to the receivers with Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, taking that falling value on Gibbs and combining it. We talk about those combinations that you can get. And as BBM progresses, I think you can get interesting combinations. Take advantage of it. He got a falling Gibbs to get with Bijan. That's not something everybody's going to be able to have access to. So I like that a lot. Then weighed in, got Spears and Bucky Irving. And then DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Rashee Rice, JSN, Josh Downs, Jalen Polk, and Javon Baker. So 2 to go with Drake May. And then Jake Ferguson, David Njoku, and then a last late round Theo Johnson. I like it. I mean, I would maybe want a 4th stronger running back in a hyper fragile, but other than that, I mean, quarterbacks are all correlated and stacked. Definitely even think I saw some run backs in there too, but I like what he did here because he did the thing you do correctly when you do a double heroes, then you kind of turn your attention to receivers, and then he built out some really nice stacks. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I probably would have just taken a 5th running back over Theo Johnson, especially because you have 2 week 5 buys. But other than that, you're just nitpicking. It's really strong. I mean, those receivers, those top 2 tight ends, the top 2 running backs, especially. And I like Spears, but like you said, it's just Spears and Irving are a little weaker for being that hyper fragile. But I mean, Robinson and Gibbs are about as good as it gets.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's go to our guy Noel Fan, who was in the 11th spot. And he did a 3.573. So, we like that. And he did it even with Jalen Hurts, I want to point out, because he got 2 late round quarterbacks. And this is exactly how you do it. People will say, well, you can't draft 3 quarterbacks with Jalen Hurts. Yes, you can. Because he got him in the 15th and 18th round, so you can, because it's still the total capital you're spending on quarterbacks. And let me give an example. You'll also hear people say, God, it's like I hit the whiskey cart this morning, and I swear to God, I didn't. That was Friday, which, by the way, check out Friends of Best Ball Happy Hour, which I did hit the whiskey cart for. But no, you'll hear people say, well, if he gets hurt, meaning Jalen Hurts or one of the elite quarterbacks, my team's dead. It's not necessarily dead. What if Hurts is out for 3 weeks, and then your one quarterback is really not holding up his end of the deal, or it's during your one quarterback's bye, those type of things. Then it's like you have 2 options if Hurts is, I'm not wishing injury on any of these guys, but I think people look at the quarterback position, especially as like too black and white. And we did have a lot of IR down. Aaron Rodgers 4 snaps in, Kirk Cousins in October, Joe Burrow in early November, whatever. We had a lot of the IR stuff last year, but you also see plenty of quarterback stuff from missing 2, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And it's
Look at Justin Fields last year.
Yeah, exactly. You can sustain that. I did in my BBM3 finals team with Dak out the first 6 weeks. You can sustain that, but you do need the right, support to sustain that. And a 3 quarterback build, even with a rushing quarterback, I think does make some sense, because he didn't spend too much capital. So I don't mean to beat that dead horse too much, and I know I do sometimes, but I really like what he did there, getting 2 quarterbacks late and both stacked. So as you can see, he got Hurts, Mayfield, Russell Wilson. Then he went Aaron Jones, Zamir White, Devin Singletary, Jalen Wright, Khalil Herbert, AJ Brown, part of his stack, Drake London, Tank Dell, Chris Godwin, part of his stack, Worthy, Brandon Cooks, running back, the Eagles Cowboys, as we talked about, Jahan Dotson, Pat Freiermuth, part of his stack, Otten, part of his stack, and then Jatavion Sanders is one of his late last round picks. So I like what he did here a lot. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. Nothing wrong with having 3 quarterbacks, and like we've said before, plenty. Like Baker, look how he turned it on late last year. He was like one of the top quarterbacks in week 15, to say nothing in the actual NFL playoffs. If you're playing DFS, you wanted him those first 2 weeks. He was one of the better quarterbacks. He can absolutely have those kind of outcomes in the playoffs, and absolutely have weeks where he outproduces Hurts as well. Russ Wilson also was a top 10 quarterback, but at the time he was benched. So I have no problem having him in the mix here, whether it's Hurts missing some time or just helping to maximize your value. We got to keep in mind, only 2 guys are out of every pod. Yep. You want to maximize every score you can.
And then in the playoffs, again, we talk about this. Yes, it protects injuries, it protects 4 weeks, but in the playoffs, then you have 3 stacks. What if, week quarterfinals, it's all Saquon Barkley or something like that. Yeah. And I'm not saying then you need Saquon Barkley to move on, but it's Saquon Barkley. Well, maybe then a big Baker Mayfield week, or who knows, a Russell Wilson week helps propel you through. It is 1 of 13 in the quarterfinals. It is not easy. So giving yourself 3 outs is what I like also on the
absolutely
quarterback stacks. All right. Well, final thoughts, Steve, before we get out of here.
No, this was a fun build to really get on quarterback. I think it does show you can, especially if you're taking 3. And also I like that we didn't take some of the risky ones at the end, like Daniel Jones or somebody like that, who I think is just maybe a little too risky for that type of build. But no, I think we did it well in getting guys that we stacked with. And I love our running backs and receivers for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with it overall. Just a couple programming notes. Again, please like this episode and subscribe to the FanSpeak Network so you can catch all of our live 4 to 5 live drafts a week and strategy shows. If you missed the strategy show from last week, I highly recommend it. It's about these time box tournaments, which there's a few of the mini schnauzers left. They were fast and furious all weekend, but it's a great discussion of different strategies to incorporate in these time box tournaments. And we'll be doing strategy shows each week. And of course, check out all our free content on fanspeak.com. Steve will be updating his rankings tomorrow. I'll be doing an article tonight. We have multiple free articles every week, rankings and more, all on the Best Ball Hub. So check that out on fanspeak.com. So this is fun. Again, check out Spread to DraftKings tomorrow, Andrew and Justin Wednesday night, and myself, I will be back Friday with Bindles at 2:00 Friday. So this has been fun, of course. And thank you guys for joining us. For Steve, I'm Meg, and we will see you next time.